Well, if you follow these streams at all, you'll know already that I spoke to Sam Barlow, who's made lots of great F&Bs, including Immortality, most recently, his biggest blockbuster FMV. We really loved it, playing it on the stream. Sam talked for quite some time about that. Do feel free to check out that interview. But I think it's fair to say the star of Immortality really is the person that I'm going to be speaking to now, Manon Gage, who of course plays Marissa Marcel in it, and has kind of like become a bit of a breakout star, dare I say, from it. I really love playing it. People love watching it. Welcome, Manon. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you. And yeah, probably won't talk as long as Sam did, but hopefully I can answer any questions people have. And yeah, it's great to be here.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. And like I said, I really loved Immortality. I thought it was so unusual. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that, and then we'll also talk a bit more about what you're working on now as well. I guess to go just before Immortality, because it's kind of interesting speaking to you, because normally I speak to a lot of game developers and people who are maybe from the beginning into gaming and interested in games. But for you, obviously, I believe it was more kind of film and TV you were interested in first. So just I guess tell us how you got into acting a bit and why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is my journey into gaming has kind of been like cart before the horse, because it's
Yeah.
like I'm in one and now I'm discovering other games, and that's been really fun. But yeah, in terms of my acting journey, I mean, I started acting as a kid, did, all the after school clubs and things, had my first professional role in the theater when I was 15. And yeah, it was just always something I wanted to do and just felt really drawn to. And I had a few false starts with trying to get into drama school, and different agent situations, auditioning and stuff. I finally got into Juilliard, and then ended up, completing that program for 4 years, their BFA acting program. After that, I moved out to LA and I was just, auditioning for film and TV, some theater too, although I was very interested in we did a lot of theater at Juilliard, so I was interested in kind of, entering this other world. And very quickly after I moved out here, I was auditioning a lot, and but then the pandemic happened. And
Yes.
yes, as we all know, and I just kind of thought, okay, well, I guess that's it. I guess this
As
isn't
in
gonna
what,
happen.
for acting in general, or were you thinking of other careers, or?
I mean, well, my first thought was we're all gonna die. And then my second thought was, even if we don't, by the time we come out of this, like, who knows what this industry is gonna look like? Who
Mm,
knows if they're gonna be interested in me? Like, who knows if I even, if I stand a chance? I don't know. There's all these things have to go right for you to really be able to maintain a career, as a working actor, in film and television. So I don't know, I feel like my hopes were sort of dwindling. And after getting vaccinated, the first Zoom audition that I had had in ages came about, and it was for Immortality. And
ah.
the rest is history.
Yeah. So I want to know then, how did you hear about Immortality? Because I mean, I'm guessing, I'm trying to remember now how Sam said he sort of cast it really, but I'm guessing it is essentially film. So did he sort of advertise in those kind of spots where you were looking? I guess.
Yeah, well, so it wasn't really advertised so much
Yeah.
as it was just an audition that was put out the same way any audition for any filmed,
Sure.
media is put out, that my agents, I guess, submitted me for. And then got an audition, did that, over Zoom. So it was all, done through the kind of typical way that I would audition for
Yeah.
anything. It's just that there was like a little line that said, for, medium interactive media or something like that. And I was like, oh,
Oh.
that's thing. And then, video games kind of, we realized that that's kind of what that meant. And but yeah, no, other than that, the process was pretty typical. there were so there was a callback, there were some phone calls with Sam, and then got cast and started rehearsing like pretty shortly thereafter. So
So that's interesting. They're like it's interactive media, maybe to kind of entice people. Because do you think if
mm.
it what did you have any I guess doubts about it being a game rather than a TV or film?
I guess I didn't so much have reservations as
Mm.
or doubts as I had just like questions. Like I
Yeah,
just didn't necessarily know because getting the audition for it, it's like, okay, you're playing like six or seven different characters across time periods. It's all written like it's just film, it's like a
yeah.
series of films. So it was just interesting to think about how it was all going to come together. But, pretty quickly by just, Googling Sam and looking at her storytelling lies, I was like, oh, okay, I see the realm in which this director operates and was just really interested in it. It seemed like he had sort of tested the waters with those two games and was like now trying to make like his masterpiece, his FMV
Well,
masterpiece,
yeah.
Like that's what it felt like. Reading the script, I was like, this writing is incredible, So I was really from the start, I was very much attached to being a part of it.
Do you remember at all what you had to do for the audition? Was it just read a bit of the actual script, or did you have to do kind of any ad lib stuff or anything?
No, no ad-libbing. Yeah, I had to do like scenes as each character. I think so the first audition scene was Marissa's audition, so
Right.
the poem that she recites. Then there was a Franny scene that I always misremember which one that was, but there was a Franny scene from Minsky, and then there was a scene as Matilda, which is like the mirror scene where she presents the mirror to Ambrosio, and kind of reveals herself to be, I know you said no spoilers, so I'll just say there's more to her than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And then one scene as Maria, which is Maria and Heather are like having coffee and talking about an award ceremony that just happened.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really wanted to see like from the jump, like can you do all of these, So
And
yeah.
I mean, I guess you put that into practice when you were doing the actual shooting, because you do kind of have to, although you're one character, you're kind of playing a lot of different characters because it's a capture across time spans. You're sort of playing on screen Marissa and off screen Marissa. What was that process like, and how did you kind of get ready for doing something like that?
A lot of highlighting in different colors and different post-it notes and different notes and I mean, you should see my original script,
Yeah.
which is just like it's really very much like color coded and planned in terms of, okay, am I the character here? Am I Marissa?
Yeah.
At what point in Marissa's life am I playing Marissa? What's going on between her and the other, actors on set, the director, what have you, how much of this other element that I won't spoil is at play in this scene? So that felt almost like, schoolwork, like just figuring it all out
Yeah.
and then working on it accordingly, sort of tracking, tracing an arc for Marissa through the ages that impacted like what she sounds like, how she behaves, like she's very different in Two of Everything, that she's very different in all three movies. And then
Yeah.
obviously her characters are very different. And then there was the whole thing of, playing a character as Marissa versus, playing a character as myself. So the
Yeah.
meta levels of, if I thought about it too much at a certain point, it made my head spin. So once I'd done the work and I got to set, it just I kind of put it out of my mind and just tried to focus on the scene in front of me.
And in terms of the kind of acting process, the shooting process, what were you filming different films, in all together, or was it you did one film and then the next, or how did that
Yes,
work?
thank God we filmed in chronological order.
Okay.
Otherwise, already too complicated to,
Yeah.
to be shoot, but no, so aside from some reshoots that had to happen because of some COVID stuff that shut down set, we shot each film chronologically. So Ambrosio, Minsky, and Two of Everything.
Okay. Yeah. That, because I was going to say it does sound very. Did it get confusing? Because as well, you've got a sort of fake director on the set as well. What was that like?
So interesting. So interesting. Was it confusing? I don't know if it was confusing. Um, it was more that it was like there are certain things that we really wanted, or Sam really wanted to have come across, like,
Mm.
the relationship between Marissa and her directors over the course of the movies, over the course of her life.
Yeah.
So there are beats, before starting a scene or after the director in question yells cut, where you want to convey, what's happening there. But so I really just treated that as just another piece of the puzzle, really. I don't know that that confused me so much. I will say, Hans Christopher, who plays John Durick, was absent for a time, and so our cinematographer Doug Potts kind of was my stand-in as director,
Right.
because he's right next to the camera. So that was quite funny, because Doug came up to me at one point and was like, "It's very unsettling the way that you're looking at me and at the camera, and I just have to remember that, like, you're looking at Durick, and like, because he's not an actor, so he was just like, it's very strange and I'm uncomfortable." But so yeah, lots of fun stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I can imagine. Yeah. We've got a question in the chat from Xan Matt who says, how much of the, and this is kind of spoiler territory, but we both know what we're talking about here, but how much of the stuff were you aware of before filming? Was everything available to read beforehand? And I guess because, the way we discover it as players is it's kind of dropped in there, but was that all there or how did that work?
It was all there. It was
Okay.
all there from the beginning. I had to clarify a lot of things with Sam,
I
because
bet.
yeah, well, as you might, have experienced yourself from playing it, it's not all, there's so much subtext. It's not all right there on the page. So there were questions that I still had, even after reading the script, and thankfully Sam was available to have long conversations, answer every question. I would send him in an email. But yeah, no, I was aware of everything. We had to be, really,
Yeah.
because it impacts the whole thing.
Completely. And another question from Grundislav. What was the most challenging scene to film? Um, I'm interested in this one as well because, yeah, there's some really out there scenes,
Yeah.
especially to stream some of these scenes.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a really good question, because it's not necessarily the scenes that you would think are the hardest
Yeah,
that were the hardest. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming, like, part of that is like, oh yeah, the nudity and the intimacy and everything.
sure.
Those were vulnerable to film, definitely, and they were, it was a new experience for me. But we did have an intimacy coordinator, and everyone, made me feel very safe, and hopefully I did the same for them. So, those scenes ended up being okay. I feel like, honestly, scenes that were more challenging were scenes that involved, like, um I don't know, like, striking the correct tone or something. The torture
Mm,
scene in Ambrosio was one that I was really concerned about, because it's like it's playing through this very intense, dramatic, emotional, scary moment, but doing it as a series and getting direction from the pretend director, Arthur Fisher. And I found it hard to strike the balance of, like, what that might be.
yeah.
But the thing is, like, what's interesting is, oftentimes the experience I was having was very much the experience Marissa was having, because Marissa in that moment is kind of, I think, like, stop giving me fucking direction, like, let
Mm,
me just,
okay.
sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to curse on
Oh
your
yeah, of
stream.
course. Yeah, yeah. No, don't worry. Yeah.
Great. Okay. But yeah, so let me do this scene, like,
Yeah.
start to fin, stop directing me, which was very much the feeling I was having in the moment. So yeah, I don't know. And then there were things that were just, like, technically difficult that we did again and again and again.
Yeah.
Like, the pool scene and Two of Everything, things like that, where it's just, you're there for a long time trying to figure out how to make every element work. So yeah.
That must have been, yeah. I mean, I guess difficult for Sam, but difficult for you all that it all has to really fit together. I
Mhm.
mean, I suppose like any film does in terms of continuity. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, as you say, it's not maybe the kind of things that people would have thought.
Mhm.
What's your favorite film of the three?
It's Minsky. I mean,
Yeah.
I love all three of them. I think, like, Ambrosio is a close second. I
Okay.
think Minsky is my favorite because the character that I get to play as Marissa, like Franny, is just such a fun, wild character to play. And the film itself is, of the three, the one that I would want to um watch, that I would
Right.
want to see start to finish. I think it's the strongest like script and everything. But Ambrosia was also really, really fun because it made me think of all the like heightened text, theater that I did in school and everything. And um yeah, I mean, and I also love Two of Everything. They're all great, but if I
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
pick just one, probably Minsky.
I mean, and this is the thing, they are so different as well. Did you, feel you had to watch certain films of that era to get into that kind of vibe or to get that kind of aesthetic as you were going through?
Oh yeah, 100%. And what was so helpful with that was that Sam basically had a very long list of all the references that he had pulled from that had inspired him, and that he kind of pointed out various films and books, and then but also like interviews with actresses, like there's some interviews with Jane Fonda or Gene Seberg from early on. There's um same with Olivia Hussey. So there was a lot of kind of like interesting BTS stuff that he sent my way. He really is like a cinephile and just, like a film nerd in general. So
Yeah.
it was really helpful to have to anchor each movie and each character in those eras.
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
I can imagine, and you can really see that when you play it. It's really, and I think that helps because you've got to instantly be like, okay, this is Minsky. Okay, now we're playing Ambrosia, and you need
Hmm.
to know instantly to work out what's going on. Really.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Another question we've got in the chat. One sec. I like this question. This is from Menace Forever, and they ask, "Do you sing Two of Everything?"
I don't sing the pop version,
Right.
which like I'm upset about. I don't know why they didn't ask me to do that. I think it's because that was recorded after we shot, and Half Mermaid is based in New York. I'm out in LA. I think they also wanted a singer who could really do like a great Britney impression, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I do some live singing of it in certain scenes, but the pop version is not me. And the whoever sings that, I don't know her name, which I feel terrible about, but
Yeah.
it just sounds great. And
Yeah.
sometimes it'll pop into my head and I'll play it and I'll be like, oh, this is a banger.
You're like, oh, that could have been me.
No, but you know what? I love it I just would have loved the experience,
Yeah.
of getting to like record a pop song like that. But but I think it works. I think it works really well.
Yeah, definitely. When did you realize that this was going to be a big game in terms of sort of success, really? Did you have any ideas you were going along, or at what point were you like, oh, okay, this is going to be good?
I think I had multiple moments like that. I think the first one was truly like upon getting the script. I read it and I was like, this is really special. This is something else. And then looking at her story and telling lies and realizing kind of what Sam was capable of and what he was
Mm.
going for and how he was describing, the game mechanic and everything, how it was all going to work for Immortality. Like I was like, this is special. Like I feel like I was a fan of the thing from, minute one. But then you never know when you're shooting something how it's going to turn out. It could feel great in the moment and then it could be awful when it comes out. So when it came out and, August 30th, I guess it was, and all the reviews started pouring in and it was like masterpiece, once in a lifetime, changing the game. I was like, oh my God, like, okay, this is it.
And I guess it must have been weird. Did you? Because obviously with films, you sort of have a premiere and then everyone gets to see it. But it's a game. So did you? I don't know. All sit down and play it together, or did you play it, or how did it? How did? When was the first time you played it?
I played it on the day. I played it on
Right.
the day it came out on Xbox, and that was great. And I had some friends over,
Ah.
and so that was fun to like have different friends interact with it and play it, non-gamers and gamers alike. And then yeah, we really didn't have like a party really, for the cast and crew or anything like that. Some of us got together for dinner, but in a more like casual way.
Yeah.
and it was like well after it came out. So, you know, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's not quite the same. You know, it's
No.
sad. I wish there had been a premiere. We did all get to actually, well, some of us got to go to the Tribeca Film Festival where it
Oh,
premiered,
amazing.
yeah, in June before it came out in August. And so that was special to get to kind of do, you know, something with the core team. Um, but yeah, so.
What was it like playing it? Because I know a lot of actors say they find it difficult watching it, but you're kind of watching it and playing as yourself. And were you able to sort of get straight away to where you needed to go, or was it still difficult to remember everything?
Um, no, it wasn't difficult to remember everything, and it wasn't necessarily difficult to watch myself. I think part of that is because of the game aspect of it, which is like you're not watching a movie from start to finish and you're just there and you're not really interacting. Like the fact of having to interact with it made it kind of put it in a different sphere for me, I guess. And it was really fun because we had all understood intellectually sort of how it was going to work, but then actually being able to interact with it and realize like, oh my God, they really did this. Like they made everything clickable and they linked it to everything else. And like just the galaxy brain thing that happens was so impressive that yeah, it really it made it so that even when there were moments where I was watching myself cringing, I was like, it doesn't matter because we're gonna go click on something else, you know?
Quick, dive into
Yeah,
this. How
yeah.
did you guys all kind of relax after filming? Because there are some quite intense scenes in
Yes.
Immortality. It can be said.
It can be said, yes. How did we relax? I mean, I can only speak for myself. I feel like it took me 2 months to even be back to normal. Like I because it was intense. It was a 3-month shoot.
Mm.
We were shooting every
Which is
single
very
day.
quick for the amount of
Very quick.
stuff.
Yes, very intense for the amount of stuff we had and you know, because we weren't doing any coverage, so every scene was shot from one angle only, which is why we were able to shoot like 15 pages a day
Right.
and get it all
Okay.
done in 3 months. But you know, it's an independent shoot. It's grueling. There's no money, you know, like you're really like everybody's there, you know, suffering through it and but also, you know, there are all these amazing moments that happen that are so special. But I think I hope hopefully everyone got to like relax and take a bit of a vacation afterwards. I know I did. So,
We've got a question from Summer in the chat who asks, did you have any, you sort of mentioned this a bit with the kind of when you went to audition, but did you have any familiarity with the FMV genre before auditioning for Immortality? Or had you played any FMV games before?
no, none. Truly, I discovered it all because of this, you
Well,
know?
if you're gonna discover them, starring in one by Sam Barlow is probably,
Yeah, I know. It's pretty, I got pretty lucky. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
let's see what else. Oh yeah, Grundislav also asks, did you all film Minsky in New York, or were all three shot in LA?
We mostly shot in LA. We did 1 week, or maybe 10 days in New York at the very end of the shoot. So all of the exteriors of New York that you see in Minsky were all the end of the shoot.
Yeah, okay, great.
Hmm.
Let's just see. Lost Train Dude in the chat also asks, did this experience give interest in game development in any shape or form? Is it something you'd ever think of exploring as a creative, or is
Oh,
acting?
wow.
I mean, I would say you're pretty good at acting, so you could
Thank
probably
you.
stick with that. But
Well, I don't. I'm very interested in developing my own stories in
yeah,
other ways. Like writing, screenwriting, producing. I haven't tried directing yet. That's probably something I would want to do at some point, but I do enjoy writing and executive producing. And I've done that this year with an independent pilot that I've made with some great collaborators. Game development, like I would love to be in another game, another FMV game or another game completely different. You know, I'd love to be in a mocap suit. Like that would be so fun.
yeah.
But in terms of creating my own games, I just don't think I have
It's
that
quite a
just
lot.
it's a lot, and like there's just people who I know who are geniuses at it that where I would want to work with them. You know, like I obviously would love to work with Sam again. Natalie, I think, at some point will probably be making FMV games, and so these are
Yes.
people who I think are incredible. And so no, I have no plans to become a game developer personally.
You know what? I think that's fair enough, Manon. I
Oh
think,
yeah.
you've got enough going on and you've done pretty well with it. So
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Right.
And yeah, I'll put a little link to your Twitch there and your project, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Just before we move on to the other things, I was interested if you hadn't got the part for Marissa, is there anyone else you would have wanted to have played?
Oh, like interesting. Hmm.
I mean, you got the
Um,
best part, we'll say. Although, I don't know,
I
actually.
mean, there's some good parts in there.
Mm,
Here's the thing. I think that every person who was cast in Immortality was perfectly cast. I don't
yeah,
think that there's a single person, and that's just like, I don't know how Sam and Natalie did that, but they just have the gift of casting because it's really hard to cast things really well. And I
agreed.
just feel like there's not a false note anywhere across the board. So everyone is perfect for their part. I think that like if I hadn't gotten Marissa,
Could you have done
I don't
Charlotta's role? I mean, she is amazing in
she's
that.
incredible, and it's just such like it would have been such a challenge and
Yeah.
very scary and exciting to try and do that. Um, but that's an incredibly frightening sort of role to take on. I mean, so I don't know, maybe I would have wanted to play like Antonia in Ambrosio or something
Oh,
like that,
okay. Yeah.
Sophia, or I'm trying to think like yeah, I don't know. I mean, Harlotta and I had said one time that it would have been fun if we had like swapped roles,
Yeah.
but it's just very scary I can't hold a candle to her performance, it's yeah.
What
I
was?
mean, and truly like Yasha Sleshers who plays Antonia,
Oh,
Sophia,
yeah.
is also incredible. Like this is the thing, like it's hard to think of like what would I have done when you see the performance and it's so precious and special and
I mean, it's
yeah.
yeah, it's just an incredible game. Did Charlotta, when she came out of character, what was that like? Because, like you said, she's so scary and intense in the game.
Yeah.
It must have been quite difficult to interact with her after that.
Yeah, she's horrible in real life too. No, she she is it's crazy because she can just turn on the one persona
Yeah.
and it's so arresting and compelling and frightening and emotional to watch her do that. And then she switches it off. It's like turning on a faucet. I truly like that's not my process and I don't know how she does it and she's so incredible. And then in real life, she's like a bunny rabbit. She's
Oh,
so sweet. She's so intelligent and just a true artist and like we've become close and
oh.
so I was never and also I'm lucky that you know I did a couple scenes with her which were so great and she wasn't necessarily like at her most frightening in those scenes
Oh,
so
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
it worked out.
I love how Rose in the chat says, "Are Charlotta and Timothy creepy in real life?" I think that's the question. No,
uh
that wasn't the question I was asking. I'm sure they're not creepy in real life. I would be concerned if that's what they were like in real life.
they're not. No, I feel like they're very like they're also like so like physically they just look like high fashion model. Like they're just so gorgeous and like stoic and poised and stuff that they're but no, very approachable and warm and
Yeah,
friendly.
good.
Timothy as well.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Moving, I mean, people can still keep asking questions about immortality, but I'm just going to kind of move on to a bit of other stuff as well.
Mhm.
I suppose, what was your impression of gaming before doing all of this, and how has it changed after doing immortality?
My impression of gaming before Immortality was that I had none. It truly like gaming just did not cross my mind. As a kid, like I wanted a console. I wanted like, I don't even know what they're called, but like the Nintendo handheld, like whatever that is.
Yes.
Um, Game Boy.
Yes, if that, I think,
Anyway,
yeah, the handheld, yeah, the
sure.
Nintendo Game Boy, yes.
Great, 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 great. But my parents never like, let uh me, really engage with any of that. They were
Yeah.
like, no, you've got other stuff to do. which is fair. But so, I would play a little bit with friends, and like my cousins and stuff. But no, I had never really like thought about gaming. And now I feel like I feel like The Little Mermaid, like I feel like I'm discovering this world in this incredible, amazing way. Everyone's been so open and supportive, both of like obviously immortality, but like also as I step into playing games myself on Twitch and interacting with game developers like at the Game Awards. That was amazing. Like everyone's been so wonderful. And so I feel like I'm getting to discover this magical new world of media, and it's really special. It's really amazing. Like there's just so much that I didn't know that I didn't know, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I watched you play Bioshock, Manon, and I can
Oh
believe that.
God. Yeah, I wish I didn't get nauseous, but
No, I was going to say about that. So, what's that like? So, if people don't know, Manon streams on Twitch now and is kind of discovering games, and you should definitely give her a follow because it's really great to watch. But you, like you say, you get a little bit sort of motion sick. Is that right?
I do with the first person games where
Right.
because it's the thing of like moving in the space and moving the camera. I feel like I'm just not used to it yet, and the way I do it is very chaotic, and then I
Yeah.
feel nauseous. But so I did the first time I played Edith Finch, I had to stop because I literally was going to throw up.
Oh
And then I was like,
no.
okay, I want to finish Edith Finch because I loved the game. So I took like Dramamine and I just tried to go slower, and that was fine. So in preparation for BioShock, I took Dramamine, but it just didn't, I don't know why it really, I don't know why it just didn't work. And so
Oh,
hopefully that's something I can go back to at some point. But right now I'm focused on playing games that aren't, first person.
that won't make you throw up, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
that'd be
good
great.
thing.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Um, what have you enjoyed playing? Well, I think I know what you enjoy playing least in that case, but what have you enjoyed playing the most?
I truly loved Edith Finch so much. I think of starting with that game was such a gift because it was just, I get all these amazing recommendations from everyone who follows me on Twitch, and
Yeah.
most of those are people who like Immortality, so they're suggesting indie games, art house games, and just the story and the visuals in Edith Finch is so beautiful, and I loved that one. I haven't played a lot so far, but I've played Oxenfree, I've played The
That's
Quarry
fun.
was also really fun. That's the kind of thing that I would love to, the next game that I guess Supermassive do. I would love to be a part of that.
Oh, that'd be good.
Just throwing that in there. But yeah, yeah, I mean, what else? Now I played Grease, which I loved. So I'm loving getting to kind of dive into these indie games. That's been really fun.
Yeah, Pixel Polyphil says between Immortality and they say my favorite game of 2022. Thank you for being a huge part of it. I've seen you played Grease recently. Have games as a form of storytelling medium surprised you?
Yeah, absolutely. I really just did not know what was out there. I
Yeah.
didn't know what was possible. Like when I thought about video games, I thought about like Mario, Zelda, and like, Halo. And I'm like, everything falls into those categories. And it's like, well, no, actually, there's like all of these other like it's just like film. It's a medium like anything else. You've got Marvel, you've got like indie films, you've got, low budget stuff. There's so many there's so much out there. So yeah, it's been great to just discover with the help of this like amazing community that's guiding me.
Some people suggesting as well Wales Interactive. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're more, I think they're UK based, but they do
Hmm.
FMVs as well.
Oh,
Not
interesting.
quite as high budget, I'll say, as Sam Barlow, but
The
I,
budget was not high,
oh,
so the,
okay.
the budget
Wow.
was not high.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like it.
I know it's actually amazing that we pulled off what we pulled off
Yeah.
with such a low budget.
Okay. I feel like
But
there's
no,
a
that's
story
awesome.
there, or there's kind of not trauma, but you're like, no, we had to do a lot of makeshift things in this in this
We did,
game.
but it's fun because it's like very scrappy, like
Yeah.
the cast and the crew and everyone is like problem solving together. Like, how do we get this thing to look like, like so it's fun too, but I will say like I shot something else, just an episode of something that I had a very small part in earlier in the fall. And I was, and it was for a big company, and I was wowed at like the difference, just, because I haven't been on a big set before, just of a big set versus an indie set. And
Yeah.
um, there's just yeah, listen, someone should give Sam a ton of money so that the next thing he does is like even more insane.
Yeah, because well, I mean,
Like,
how much more insane can he go though? Because
the sky's the limit. If he had, like $100 million, like,
yeah.
I don't know.
That's okay. Well, that's very. I mean, X and Matt in the chat says you should play Contradiction, but I think you have played that. Is that right? Am I?
No, I have not
Okay,
played
that's
Contradiction.
okay. You should. I'm gonna play that after this interview. But
Oh, cool.
it's a good FMV. You should definitely play that. But let's move on a bit to kind of what you're working on now. So tell us a little bit about Real Live Girl. What is it?
Great. So yeah, Real Live Girl is a pilot that I wrote, shot, started, and executive produced, that is almost done and currently in the process of being submitted to festivals and pitched. It's something that my collaborators and I would love to, get funded to make the whole thing, sell to a network. That would be great. And it's a psychological thriller drama series about a OnlyFans cam girl who accidentally ends up meeting the wife of her most twisted viewer, and then terrible things happen. And it's really fun. We're very proud. I just saw the final cut, like literally today.
Oh, great.
And yeah, we're so proud of what we've made, and there's just some amazing people involved. David Cornsweet directed, Medina Senghor co-stars. We just have some really great talent. And yeah, it's just fun to also be more in control of, I love being an actor for hire, and I also love making my own stuff. So that's been really cool. We're currently fundraising to recoup our post costs. So I guess that's the link that you're putting in the chat.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
anyone who would like to donate, your donations are welcome. They're also tax deductible because we are sponsored by a nonprofit. And if you donate $30, you get an exclusive ticket to our virtual premiere, which is for donors only, and maybe the only place you'll be able to see it unless you end up going to one of the festivals that we hopefully get into. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for us to hopefully, be greenlit so that we can reshoot the whole thing on a much higher budget.
Phil
So
in the chat says, "Is the virtual premiere available worldwide?" I don't know if you'd know this.
yeah,
Yeah.
the virtual premiere will just be something that we independently stream out. So that is available regardless of where you are.
And what made you want to do this? Where did this idea come from?
The idea started in quarantine because I was just thinking like, well, I want to make something. I felt like I was artistically starved because unlike, I have friends who are musicians and things like that. Unlike those art forms, you can't sort of like wake up and just act, the way that you can wake up and play the piano.
Right.
And I just felt like my artistic soul was dying.
Ugh.
And I had friends who felt the same way. And we started chatting and saying like, okay, well, what's something that we could shoot in quarantine? And then we started to think about, okay, well, or I started to think about, what about something that involves webcams? I had recently seen, I think, Searching, or there's another movie like that takes place fully on a laptop screen. And then OnlyFans was kind of in the news, and the idea kind of almost came to me fully formed. And then various things happened where we weren't able to start for a while, and then the world of the pilot just got bigger and bigger, and by the time we actually shot it in February of last year, we were able to shoot, not just via a computer screen, but on location, many different locations, many more people were involved, so it ended up kind of growing to be bigger than, it was this little passion project in quarantine, and then ended up turning into like something that I think really stands on its own. And yeah, I'm just so proud of what we were able to pull off, and where it's gone, has been surprising and wonderful. So yeah, I'm excited to share it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really interesting, and I find it interesting the way it's kind of the way you pitched it as well. It does sound like it could be a game. It could be an
Mm.
FMV. Just the way it's through webcams and things like that, because that there have been FMVs during the pandemic that did something similar. I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if maybe your time working on Immortality kind of helped in any ways when you were doing this project.
I mean, it definitely did in terms of taking my clothes off on camera for
Yes.
Immortality made me just emboldened me, I think, to emboldened me to not necessarily do the same, but just play a very sexualized character in a way that I just felt like very free with it and not constrained or uncomfortable. So that was one thing that was helpful. But no, in terms of, I mean, you're right, it could be an FMV game. And like as you say that, I'm like, oh my God, I could see all the ways in which it would work.
Make
I
it.
just
Go
don't.
on.
It could, yeah. I mean, maybe I'll talk to Natalie about it, but or Sam, but
Yeah.
yeah, someone tweeted something at me that was like, "Did you write this after playing Telling Lies? Because the webcam
Yeah.
thing, the
Yeah.
solving a mystery seems to be very much a part of." And I was like, "No, no, this is just something that I was already working on, that was written before, that actually was going to shoot when I got Immortality. That's one of the reasons we
Ah,
postponed. We were literally going to shoot, and then I
that's
got
so
Immortality.
interesting.
So interesting how things work out."
Yeah, and so what's the kind of dream with this then? Would like you said you want to it to get picked up and then potentially get made into, is it kind of like a series you'd be looking for, or what are your hopes with
Yeah,
this?
I have a full mini series, limited series mapped out of what that would be, and it would be so great to get to do because in the pilot is mostly me, but the show is really a two-hander between myself and Medina Senghor, who plays Amala, the wife of this Twisted OnlyFans viewer. And um that she is someone who was a couple years ahead of me at Juilliard, who I never got to act with, but who I always admired so greatly. And she now we live very close to each other, and just getting to create stories where I get to act with people I want to act with is so
Yeah,
special to me. So I would love to, like if Netflix is like, hey, we'll pay for you to do like that would be so great. If it's another streaming service or whatever, like I don't really know. Like the sky's the limit, but I would love to be able to tell the full story and to not have to do that again on an independent set on
of
an
course.
independent budget.
Yeah. Menace Forever, we've got two questions from actually. First is, do you have a dream role that you'd like to play?
Oh, that's a really good question, and that's something that people ask me. I
I know.
don't. Well, no, but it's a good question. There's nothing really that I mean, I'll read things all the time where I'm like, oh, this would be cool to play. But it kind of, I don't, there's nothing that I'm like super attached to really. I think it's like there has to be a script in front of me that, you know, that really resonates in the I don't know that I necessarily have like a dream role.
I
It's
think
a
that's
boring
fair.
answer.
No, it's not. It's a difficult answer though. I mean, we did have a suggestion in the chat that you make a good Jean Grey from X-Men, and I can
Oh,
kind of see
interesting.
that.
Hasn't Sophie Turner's already done that? I
Yeah,
think that's been done.
that's been done. I mean,
I'll take a different one,
it's
a
not like
different
they
superhero.
don't do sequels at all of these superhero films ever. Like that's it.
That's
One person
true.
does it, you'll never be able to do it. No.
But you don't want
Um.
to be, I don't know if I want to be recast as
Yeah.
someone because that you're always compared to the person before. You have big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it would be like I'll do some I would love to do something like that. I would just love it for it to be like a character that I get to kind of originate, so that I don't face the wrath of anyone.
Ah, yeah. And well, that's yeah. And I guess did you get anything like that coming into the kind of gaming sphere? Because it can be pretty. People can say some quite blunt things. Did you
Oh,
feel anything like that? I know certainly. For example, the voice actors of The Last of Us, particularly the female ones, had a lot of problems. But I'm just wondering if you got anything like that.
that is so awful and disgusting.
Mm,
No, I
good.
have gotten, I don't know what it's been. I've gotten so lucky. The DMs I get, the people who send me tweets or things like everyone has been lovely. Sometimes there are things that are a little like strange, or, that I just kind of, you know, I
Yes.
ignore. But there hasn't been any. I was fully prepared because I've heard things about like very vitriolic subsets of the gaming community, and the misogyny that can be there as well. And I don't know what it is. I got really, really lucky, and I've been exposed to gamers who are just wonderful, like
Good.
intelligent, lovely people. So it's kind of been great.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. We'll finish up. So if anyone's got any more questions in the chat, please put them forward. And Menace Forever, another good question, asking, is being a part of the creative process a part of why you connect with Franny so much?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think so. I think that because I guess it's Marissa, because
Yeah.
Marissa is creating Minsky with Durek. Um, and actually sometimes I think sort of like leading him in a direction and making him think that it's his idea, as women have to do sometimes. I guess certainly at that time. But yeah, I mean that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, having her be in a position where she has more agency, and also, she talks about this when she's interviewed in the warehouse about how Franny is so different from Matilda, the character she's just played, because Franny is more three-dimensional. I think, yeah, that's something that, you get a lot of, as a woman, you get a lot of auditions for characters that are one-dimensional, two-dimensional. So it's always nice to get to play roles that are three-dimensional. And I think so far I've just gotten really lucky. That's what I've gotten to do in theater, Immortality, and then, writing my own thing. Of course, I'm not going to write something one-dimensional for
No.
myself. Yeah.
I guess sort of finishing up, would you still be looking to, you've sort of mentioned this a little bit, but would you still be looking to do games, or was this kind of a nice foray into it because it did have that kind of film element, and you're kind of looking more at TV and film now, or what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I would love to do some film and
Yeah.
TV. I would love to do some film and TV. I would also love to do some theater. I haven't done a play in like
What would you
not eight
like to
years,
do in the
4
theatre?
years. Oh, that's such a good question.
A
So
musical,
many
so you
great.
could sing.
I don't know about musicals. I just, people who do musicals really are these like quadruple threats, and I
Yeah.
am like just not that. But I don't know. I mean, there's so many plays that I love. Harletta and I had actually talked at one point about doing The Maids by Jean Genet, which I think would be really, really fun. But there's just like so much out there. I'd love to do some Tennessee Williams. I haven't really gotten to do Tennessee Williams. Um, but yeah, but I would also love to do another game. I think at the end of the day, it's just about like what the script is like. If the story is good and the medium, makes sense for it, it's like whatever is meant to come my way next, hopefully it doesn't matter what medium it is.
And what else are you working on besides Real Life Girl? What are you up to at the moment?
Real Life Girl is occupying every waking minute of my life. So Real Life Girl is, but I mean, I'm auditioning like,
Yeah,
it's a new
it's never
year, and
ending.
so yeah, so I mean, things come my way that are exciting, and then you hopefully I'll hear back at some point about something, and we'll see. Like that's the thing about the audition part of it, is like it's one day, Monday you don't have a job, and Friday you're flying out to Vancouver to shoot something. So
Yeah.
you just really don't know, and we'll see. I'm excited to see what 2023 brings.
Oh, so are we, I have to say. I'm definitely excited for whatever you do next. I will end with this very important question that we try and end the streams on, and this, Manon. What is your favorite chocolate bar, if you have one? Please tell us.
That is an important question. Oh wow. I mean, I love chocolate. Like
Mm.
I love chocolate so much.
Oh,
You know what? I love just a basic milk chocolate with like crispy rice in it. There's like a Milka, I don't know, like there's like a Milka bar
yes.
that is like milk chocolate with rice that I haven't had in ages because they don't sell it here. I live in LA.
Mm.
But any kind of like, or like a crunch kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I will say something that I lived in England for 2 years,
Oh,
and
whereabouts
I
in
love
London, or?
I was in Guildford, and then I was in London. I did like a foundation course in drama when I didn't get into drama school. And then I was like in London with an agent, like auditioning and working and trying to get roles, and not getting roles. That's a story for a different time and a different stream. But something I was introduced to was those like the chocolate oranges that also have, or like that have
Yes.
like popping candy. There's also like popping candy.
Yes.
Fucking love that. Love
Yes.
that so much. Miss that so much. Yeah, that's got to be my favorite because I don't get to eat it.
I think that's, the UK really does do some pretty good chocolate compared to America. Sorry, America. You get a lot of
No,
things right, but the chocolate isn't one of them.
do we?
Well, I'm trying to be nice
No.
here.
Yeah, no, no, no. Some things are good. Some things are good.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose because did you grow up in France and then moved a bit to London
Yeah.
and then came to America? So,
Hmm.
where next? You thinking of staying in America for a while now? I'm guessing for the career, probably.
I mean, I feel like I sort of have to. I
Yeah.
love Los Angeles. I feel like, settling down here would be what I would want to do, but you just never know,
Mm.
democracy might fall. Like, I just don't, like, I think things are, this is weird. This is a strange age we're living in.
Yeah.
And, um, so I don't know. I don't know.
All
We'll
right.
see.
On that positive note, we shall end
Right.
this
Yeah.
interview. But thank you so, so much for having a chat with us. If you haven't played Immortality, everyone definitely should. It's such a great game. And yeah, really looking forward to hopefully seeing more of Real Life Girl and more of what you've got planned in 2023.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll keep you posted. And thank you. This was so great. Great
Yeah, no
questions.
worries.
And yeah, can't wait to. I mean, I'll definitely watch you stream in the
Oh,
future, like
God,
when
no,
I'm
please don't.
able to. Okay, fine, or not.
I mean, go ahead. I mean, I'll try. I can at least, if you want to watch some FMV games, that'll be, I can show you a bit of
Totally.
contradiction because that's great. But yeah, thank you once again, and I'll drop the links, or if there's anything else you want me to kind of like share or anything, let me know. But
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I'll let. What's the weather like in LA? Because it's a little
Well,
bit cold here.
it's sunny. It's sunny and lovely, but it has been raining for pretty much 2 weeks straight, and like
Okay.
pouring rain. I don't know if that was on the news in the UK. It was on the news here constantly.
Okay.
Just flooding, mudslides, the whole nine yards,
Oh, okay.
all California. But no, it's finally sunny again. We're back to normal. So
All right. Well, I'll let you go and enjoy some of that nice Californian sunshine then.
thank you.
All right.